Okay, let's clear something up right out of the gate. Religion doesn't belong in politics. Not because religion is bad, because power corrupts everything it touches. And religion, once corrupted, becomes one of the most dangerous tools on earth. Faith is supposed to be personal, quiet, reflective, a compass. Politics is negotiation, compromise, competing interests, messy reality. When you fuse the two, you don't get a better system. You get a system that thinks it's divinely correct. And that's where everything breaks. Because once a policy becomes God's will, you can't debate it, you can't question it, you can't vote against it without being labeled immoral. That's not democracy. That's theological authoritarianism. Now enter Christian nationalism, not Christianity. Let's stop insulting actual Christians by pretending this is the same thing. Christianity, at its best, is about humility, compassion, sacrifice. Christian nationalism is about using religion as a tool to structure society in a way that benefits a specific group. And once you see that, everything else starts making sense. The obsession with controlling women, the push to legislate morality, the refusal to allow religious plurality. Because if your power depends on your belief system being the default, you can't afford competition. And here's the part nobody likes to say out loud. A lot of these movements are not just ideological, they're financial. Religion in politics isn't just about belief. It's about money, influence, and control of massive tax-advantaged networks. Churches with political influence, organizations shaping policy, donations flowing through systems that conveniently don't get the same scrutiny as other institutions. And somehow, magically, the policies they support tend to reinforce their own power. What a coincidence. Now, let's talk about that for-profit reality nobody wants to touch. Religion shouldn't be a business model. It shouldn't be a pipeline to political power. It shouldn't be a shield that lets people avoid accountability while influencing laws that affect millions. But here we are, where some of the loudest moral leaders are deeply entangled in money, politics, influence networks, and yes, closets full of skeletons that would end careers in any other field. But when you wrap yourself in religion, suddenly criticism becomes persecution, and accountability becomes an attack on faith. It's a hell of a loophole. Now, let's bring it back to the core danger. When religion enters politics as authority, not inspiration, it starts dictating who gets rights and who doesn't. And historically, that list is pretty predictable. Women, minorities, anyone outside the approved structure. Because control systems don't expand freedom, they restrict it. And then you get the justification. This is how it's supposed to be. This is the natural order. No. Monty Mater nailed it when she said, if it was natural, it wouldn't require violence, force, indoctrination, or a legal system to enforce it. That line alone dismantles the entire argument. Because if your moral order needs laws to force compliance, it's not morality, it's enforcement. And here's the part that should make everyone, regardless of belief, uncomfortable. Even deeply religious people should be against this. And here's the irony that should bother everyone, including actual believers. They'd live it privately. You don't legislate gravity, you legislate insecurity. When religion gets tied to political power, it gets corrupted. It stops being about faith. It becomes about winning. And once that happens, religion isn't guiding people anymore, it's controlling them. And that's why the separation of church and state exists, not to weaken religion, to protect it, and to protect everyone else from it being used as a weapon. Because once belief becomes law, freedom becomes conditional. So when you hear this push for Christian nationalism, understand what it really is. It's not a return to values, it's a return to control. It's not about building a better society, it's about building a more obedient one. And it's being driven by a mix of ideology, money, and people who've been chasing power long enough to know exactly how to package it. So no, Religion doesn't belong in politics, because the second it gets there, it stops being sacred and starts being strategic. And when the same people chasing power start claiming divine backing, you're not watching faith. You're watching ambition wrapped in righteousness with just enough history behind it to know exactly how dangerous that combination can get. And if that sounds harsh, good. Because pretending this is normal is how you wake up one day and realize moving forward quietly became optional.